Clint Eastwood had a reservation, a confirmed 7 p.m. reservation at one of the quietest upscale Italian spots in West Hollywood. He showed up on time, sat down calmly, ordered a glass of wine, and waited for his son to arrive. Then a wealthy couple walked in without a reservation, scanned the room like they owned it, pointed at Clint's corner booth, and said the line that instantly changed the temperature of the entire restaurant. "We're regulars. He's just some old man. Give us his table." The manager hesitated for half a second, then made the worst decision of his career. And what happened next did not just silence the restaurant. It got the manager fired that same night. It permanently banned the couple, and it exposed something ugly that every service worker recognizes immediately. So stay locked in, because the first twist is not that it was Clint Eastwood. The first twist is what Clint did on purpose before anyone recognized him. And the second twist is what the owner did after the couple tried to fix their mistake. If you like stories where entitlement meets consequences in real time, hit like and subscribe now, because this one is a masterclass in how respect works when no one thinks it matters. It's a Saturday evening in April 2019, the kind of West Hollywood night where every decent restaurant is booked and every important person suddenly has somewhere they must be seen. Bella was the type of place people came to disappear, not to perform. Soft lighting, low voices, a garden view, real conversations. The food was excellent. The vibe was calm. And the staff prided themselves on treating everyone like they belonged. Clint arrived at 6:55, dressed the way he always dressed when he wasn't trying to sell anything. Button-down shirt, slacks, no tie, no flashy watch, no entourage. At 89 years old, he had nothing left to prove and no interest in playing the look-at-me game. The hostess, Sophia, greeted him with genuine warmth. "Mr. Eastwood, your table is ready. Your son called. He's running about 15 minutes late from the airport." Clint nodded. "No problem. I'll wait at the table." Sophia led him to a corner booth, one of the best seats in the restaurant. Private, quiet, a view of the garden. Enough space for two people to talk without feeling crowded by strangers. Clint settled in, ordered a glass of wine, and glanced at his phone, relaxed in that rare, valuable way a person relaxes when they think the night is finally simple. 10 minutes later, at 7:05, the front door opened again. Richard and Amanda Hastings walked in like a storm that believed it deserved an apology for being weathered. Early 50s, expensively dressed, not stylish, just expensive. Kind of confidence that comes from money and the habit of being obeyed. Richard was a real estate developer who'd made a fortune during the previous decade. Amanda was an interior designer who liked to drop names and imply access. They weren't just used to getting what they wanted. They were used to watching people scramble to give it to them. They approached the hostess stand. "We need a table for two," Richard said, already speaking like it was a command, not a request. Sophia checked the book. Her smile stayed professional. "I'm so sorry, sir. We're completely booked tonight. We do have availability tomorrow." Amanda cut in instantly, louder than necessary. "We don't want tomorrow. We eat here all the time." Richard leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice in a way that wasn't polite, just threatening. "We spend a lot of money here. Find a table." Sophia was 23, new to the job, and she could feel the trap closing. Say no, they complain. Say yes, someone else pays the price. She did what young staff are trained to do in those moments. "Let me check with the manager." She found Marcus Webb, the floor manager. 31, ambitious, 3 years at Bella, hungry for promotion. The kind of guy who thought keeping the right people happy was the same thing as doing his job well. "The Hastings are here without a reservation," Sophia said quietly. "You're insisting." Marcus knew them. They came often enough to be recognized. They spent money. And more importantly, they were the type to weaponize their connections. Marcus looked at the book, then scanned the dining room. Full. Every table accounted for. Every reservation honored. Then his eyes landed on the corner booth. An elderly man sat alone, sipping wine, calm as a stone in a river. Casual clothes. No visible status markers. No sign screaming VIP. Just a man waiting, and Marcus made a snap judgment that would ruin his night. He assumed the man was easy to move. He assumed nobody important sits that quietly. Richard followed Marcus's gaze and immediately smiled like he'd found a loophole. "That table," Richard said. "He's by himself. Move him. Put him at the bar or a small table. We need the booth." Sophia's discomfort showed. "Sir, that table has a reservation." Amanda's voice sharpened. "We're regulars. We're here every week. We spend thousands. He's just some old guy sitting alone. We're a couple. We need that booth. Make it happen." And right there, Marcus chose convenience over integrity. Let me handle it, Marcus said, trying to sound confident. Sophia looked like she wanted to stop him, but she didn't have the authority. In restaurants, the hierarchy is brutal. If a manager decides to sacrifice someone, it happens fast and quietly. Marcus walked across the dining room to the corner booth. Clint was reading something on his phone, relaxed, not making a scene, not demanding attention. Marcus saw the casual shirt and the calm posture and doubled down on his assumption. He smiled his professional smile. Excuse me, sir. I'm Marcus, the floor manager. I apologize, but we have a situation. We have regular customers who need this table, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to move to a different table. We have a nice two-top near the kitchen where you're welcome to sit at the bar. Clint looked up. No anger, no ego, just mild surprise. I have a reservation for this table, Clint said evenly. 7 o'clock, party of 2. Marcus nodded like he was listening, but his words proved he wasn't. Yes, I understand, sir, but these are preferred customers who spend considerable money here. I'm sure you understand. The bar has a full menu. Clint didn't change his tone. That was the first thing that started to unsettle people at nearby tables. Calm is intimidating when someone is trying to push you. And I have a reservation, Clint repeated. I made it this morning, 7 o'clock. This table. Marcus felt the Hastings watching from across the room like judges. He felt the pressure to solve the problem. He made his second mistake. Sir, I'm trying to be accommodating, Marcus said, voice tightening. These guests are important to our business. You're dining alone. You said party of 2, but I only see one person, so you don't really need a booth. I'm asking you as a courtesy to move to a more appropriate table. Clint set his phone down, slowly, deliberately. Then he looked at Marcus with a steady gaze that didn't need a raised voice to cut through arrogance. More appropriate for whom? Clint said. Not as a question for information. As a spotlight on the ugliness of what Marcus had just implied. Marcus tried to recover, but pride makes people stupid. Sir, I'm not trying to be difficult, Marcus said. I'm trying to accommodate all our guests. Clint's voice stayed calm, but it carried. You're asking me to give up my reserved table for people who didn't bother to make a reservation, Clint said. Now the room started to shift. Restaurants like Bella are quiet enough that tension travels. Nearby diners pause mid-bite. Conversations thinned. Heads turned. People weren't eavesdropping anymore. They were watching. Marcus, still trying to win in front of the Hastings, made the fatal move. He used the word that turns hospitality into discrimination. These are preferred customers, Marcus said. Preferred. A word that means some people deserve more respect than others. Clint didn't flinch. He didn't lean back. He didn't throw a famous name on the table. He did something far more powerful. He stayed calm and forced Marcus to sit in his own behavior. So the bar is more appropriate for me, Clint said, because I look like someone you can move. That line hit the room like a slap, not because it was dramatic, but because it was true. Marcus opened his mouth to respond, but at that exact moment, the kitchen door swung open and the owner stepped out. Giovanni Russo, 63. Built Bella with pride. Ran it with a simple philosophy he repeated to staff constantly. Every guest gets dignity. Always. Giovanni saw Marcus standing too close to a table, saw Sophia's tense face near the stand, and saw the Hastings waiting with smug impatience. He read the room instantly. Owners who survive in hospitality develop a sixth sense for trouble. Then Giovanni got closer and recognized the man in the booth. His face went pale. Not because he was starstruck, because he understood what was happening, and he was horrified it was happening in his restaurant. Marcus, Giovanni said sharply, step away from that table. Now, Marcus turned, confused. Mr. Russo, I'm just trying to. Step away, Giovanni repeated, voice low and dangerous. Marcus backed off, suddenly unsure of himself. Giovanni approached the booth and his entire demeanor changed into respectful urgency. Mr. Eastwood, Giovanni said. I apologize. I don't know what happened here, but whatever it is, I'm deeply sorry. The name traveled. Eastwood. Whispers sparked like matches. People at nearby tables turned more openly. Someone silently mouthed, no way. Phone stayed down because the vibe wasn't celebrity spotting anymore. It was witnessing. Clint nodded once. Your manager asked me to give up my reserved table, Clint said, to accommodate guests who don't have a reservation. Giovanni's face went from pale to red. He turned slowly toward Marcus. You asked Mr. Eastwood to move. Giovanni said, each word heavy. Marcus stammered. I didn't recognize him, and the Hastings are good customers. And here came the first twist that made the room go colder. Clint spoke before Giovanni could explode. Wouldn't matter if he recognized me, Clint said calmly. That's the point. Silence. Because in one sentence, Clint removed fame from the equation. He made it about respect, not celebrity. Then Clint added in the quietest voice that still managed to fill the room. He told me other guests were more important to your business. He called them preferred customers. He suggested the bar would be more appropriate for me. Giovanni looked like he might actually be sick. That is not what we believe here, Giovanni said, voice shaking. That is not how we run this restaurant. Clint didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Then why did your manager say it? Clint said. Giovanni didn't have an answer that wasn't ugly. Turned away from Clint and faced the dining room. Everyone was watching now. Forks down. Glasses untouched. 80 people frozen in a moment that had become bigger than a table. Giovanni looked toward the entrance, where Richard and Amanda were still standing, still trying to act like nothing was wrong, still clinging to the idea that they could bully their way out of embarrassment. Giovanni spoke loud enough for the whole room. Which guests were more important than the gentleman with the reservation? Giovanni said. A voice from a nearby table, quiet but clear, answered for him. The couple by the entrance. All eyes turned. Amanda's face tightened. Richard suddenly found the floor extremely interesting. Giovanni walked to them, the entire restaurant tracking his movement like a courtroom following a judge. You demanded his table, Giovanni said. Richard cleared his throat. We eat here regularly. We didn't think it would be a problem. Amanda jumped in fast, trying to save it. We didn't know who he was, if we'd known. And here came the second twist, the line that permanently ended their power in that room. Giovanni didn't let her finish. If you'd known, Giovanni said, you would have behaved. He let that sit. Then he continued, voice sharp with disgust. But because you thought he was just some old man, felt entitled to his seat. And my manager agreed with you. The room didn't just go quiet. It went still. Giovanni pointed gently toward the door, like a man trying not to yell. You need to leave, Giovanni said. You're not welcome here tonight, and you won't be welcome here in the future. Richard tried one last move. Now, wait a minute. Giovanni's tone cut through him. Leave. Now. Richard and Amanda walked out, faces burning, dignity evaporated. The door closed behind them with a soft click that somehow sounded louder than a slam. For a moment, the silence stayed. Then one person started clapping. Then another. Then another. And suddenly the entire restaurant applauded, not for drama, not for celebrity, but for principle, for the owner choosing dignity over profit, for the reminder that respect is not a reward for status,